Hello from Jihad and the World, a podcast that explores the connection between Western and Islamic cultures. The author is Mark Silinsky of Kensington Security Consulting, and today's episode shares updates on Western women who joined the Caliphate. It revisits topics covered in Jihad and the West, Black Flag over Babylon, released 10 years ago. This episode provides a more detailed biography of a very confused English woman who turned to Islam and the Caliphate in search of a new life. I will also speculate on why 4 Western Islamists went to the Caliphate, where they were killed by their former countrymen. Because she is a Muslim, she will come here and never leave. Sally Jones's friend Aisha, raised in Kent, England, Catholic. Sally Jones was a practicing Christian through her early 20s. When she was 10, her father, a van driver, committed suicide. Times were tough, and by 16 she left school to become a beautician. She also played bass in an all-girl band named Krunch. A bandmate impregnated her. She lost her husband to liver cancer 2 years after their son was born. Now a widow, she started using dating apps in 1996 and met Junaid Hussain. She fell for him and quit her job selling cosmetics. Then the couple traveled to Syria to join ISIS. They became known as Mr. and Mrs. Terror. She left her older son in Britain but took 10-year-old Jojo, whom she groomed to become an executioner. In Syria, she married Hussein and converted to Islam. Hussein died in fighting in 2015, but her influence and power continued to grow. Yesterday's punk rocker became the leader of the female wing of the Anwar al-Awlaki battalion of ISIS in Raqqa. She decided who would live and who would die. The United Nations listed her as one of the most wanted terrorists in 2015, and the U.S. government added her to its death list. She fled Raqqa after coalition forces positioned themselves for an attack. A friend of hers said Jones converted to Islam and that she will never leave Syria. A convert will hold Islam tightly and not let it go. Because she is a Muslim, she came here and will never leave. As for Jojo, he joined the Cubs of the Caliphate Youth Club, where he learned how to kill captives. She pressed her son to decapitate goats, as training to behead prisoners. Jojo's grandfather in England feared that the then 11-year-old boy was becoming, in his words, a lost soul. A lurid video shows Jojo blasting a bullet into the head of a prisoner. Mom was prolific on Twitter as a leading propagandist for the Islamic State. She was compared to a British recruiting sergeant. In an iconic image, she superimposed her face onto a photo of a nun holding a revolver. She aspired to become a suicide bomber. She wrote in 2015, "I know what I am doing. Paradise has a price, and I hope this will be the price for paradise." That price came in October 2017, when she and Jojo were blown to pieces by a Predator missile while fleeing Raqqa. Jojo was 12 at the time of his death. There is no known evidence that mom or son reached paradise. What do the American Adam Gadon, Anwar al-Awlaki, the British Muhammad Emwazi, and Sally Jones have in common? Several things. By the turn of the millennium, Islamic terror was no longer rare, exotic, or distant. Among the 4 terrorists, 2 were born in the United States and 2 in Britain. 2 had unconventional backgrounds. Adam Gadon grew up immersed in California counterculture, while al-Awlaki spent much of his youth in Yemen before returning to the United States. Sally Jones and Muhammad Emwazi both had common English backgrounds before turning to radical Islam. 2 were well educated. Awlaki was an engineer, and Emwazi an IT professional, while Jones and Gadon did not graduate from college. Several had challenging childhoods, but there was no evidence that they lived in exceptionally cruel circumstances. These were ordinary people. One commentator suggested that Emwazi symbolized the successful and subtle infiltration of Western nations. Looking at his childhood, there is no indication that he would embrace violent Islam. His childhood friends described him as well-dressed, confident, polite, and intelligent. He had no criminal record and showed no signs of sadistic zeal. Until he left for Syria, he was considered a success story in Britain. The Muslim Briton escaped poverty and danger in the Middle East to build a new, prosperous life in Britain as a computer scientist. But then, something changed. Something also happened to Gadan and Jones. Gadan might have been prone to some violence. He explored death metal music in his late teens, but that could have been a fleeting phase. Did he bully or harm others? There are no records of serious incidents. Something also changed for Sally Jones. Raised Catholic and interested in music, Ms. Jones shifted from a chaotic lifestyle to a highly disciplined and strict routine. She decided who would live and who would die. She hardened her young son's heart so he would kill mercilessly. And he did. Al-Awlaki probably experienced more grooming to become an extremist. He was immersed in Islam in Yemen and brought it with him to the U.S. But he could have chosen a different path. He didn't have to endorse violence and salute killers. All four of them joined militant Islam, and they never left. But what are your ideas? What do you think happened? Thank you for listening to this episode of Jihad and the World. Our latest book, Cauldron of Terror, Hamas, Israel, and the World, will be available for purchase in July 2026. This podcast does not reflect the official position of the United States government. Until next time, goodbye from Kensington Security Consulting.